Hi, I'm Isaac Duffett. I'm here today with an in-depth look at the history of Egypt's recent political crisis. The invasion by Napoleon Bonaparte in 1798 left Egypt in chaos. Out of this chaos arose a new leader, an Albanian soldier in the employ of the Ottomans named Muhammad Ali. His dynasty would govern Egypt until the 1950s. Muhammad Ali modernized Egypt and extended its control over a vast empire, making Egypt a regional power. The British intervened in the 1880s to force Muhammad Ali back to what is now considered Egypt, and making Egypt a protectorate of the British Empire. In 1922, Egypt gained its independence from Britain and established a constitutional monarchy. This system survived until 1952, when the nationalists came to power. 2 years later, Gamal Abdel Nasser assumed control of the state, overthrowing the monarchy, and became Egypt's first dictator. In 1956, Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. In response, Britain, France, and Israel invaded Egypt in an attempt to restore the constitutional monarchy and assert control over the Suez Canal. Although Israel won its military objectives, Britain and France were forced to withdraw under pressure from the United States and Soviet Union at the United Nations. Under the monarchy, Jews were protected and given the opportunity to prosper. The regime of Gamal Abdel Nasser would change this. Jews were arrested without trial, some were executed, and their property was confiscated. Fearing for their lives, Egypt's Jews were forced to flee, mostly to Israel and the United States. In 1967, Nasser planned to attack Israel along with his allies in Jordan and Syria. Israel struck first, reoccupying the Sinai and defeating Egypt. Nasser died in 1970 and was succeeded by Anwar el-Sadat. Sadat led Egypt through an unsuccessful war in 1973 and then joined Menachem Begin and Jimmy Carter at Camp David to sign a peace accord that ended the conflict between Egypt and Israel. In 1981, Anwar Sadat was assassinated by a fundamentalist Egyptian soldier, largely for his role in making peace with Israel. His vice president, Hosni Mubarak, would become Egypt's third dictator. In early January, riots that began in Tunisia over economic and political freedom spread to Egypt, with opposition leaders calling for Hosni Mubarak to resign. Riots in the street have left at least 300 dead and have brought hundreds of thousands out to protest in Egypt's capital. After weeks of riots, Hosni Mubarak resigned, placing the military in charge. The presidential election, which will take place later this year, will likely center on former intelligence chief and Mubarak supporter Omar Suleiman, former head of the International Atomic Energy Agency Mohammed El-Baradei, and Ayman Noor, an Egyptian businessman who was jailed for 3 years for running against Hosni Mubarak in 2004. Until elections can be held, Egypt will be under the control of its military, headed by Mohammed Hussein Tantawi, a conservative known for his anti-reformist opinions.